My name is Dennis Brown. I want to thank you for joining me for this week's Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Normally, this is on Monday, but today is Tuesday. And I want to thank you for joining me. Sorry I couldn't make it yesterday. Just had way too many things going on. I've got a property I'm developing, all kinds of different stuff, but that's a whole nother story. So today we are here to talk about what is the best time, what is the perfect time to start your freight broker business. That's what we're going to talk about. But for those of you that joined me early, I have a cool surprise. I'm going to be giving away some prizes before we start the training at noon. It's a little bit early now, so we are going to jump into some free giveaways, but I do have some great information for you today. If you stick around for the training, I am going to, number one, talk to you about the best time to start your freight broker business. And then I'm actually going to share some principles with you that will allow you to thrive in economic upturns and economic downturns. Okay. So I'm going to share that with you, but why don't we dive in real quick and do a quick giveaway or two, see what we can get in. Let's see how many people we've got live here. And then we'll do a quick giveaway. I'll be giving away, first thing I'm going to give away is a Freightpreneur t-shirt. Someone that solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. I've been giving these away for years now. They're very popular. If you want a chance to win one, stay tuned here for in about a minute here, and I'm going to give you some simple instructions on how you can qualify for the giveaway. Welcome, everybody, from wherever you're joining me from. Thank you for joining me again. Today is Tuesday. What is it? Tuesday, January 14th? Yeah, or Tuesday, June 14th. I'm sorry, 2022, that we're doing this live. And a quick backstory while people are getting live. I couldn't join yesterday because I actually bought a property down south of here, about an hour, and I'm putting a cabin and a big pole barn garage and all that sort of stuff. And they were putting the road in. I'm putting the road 650 feet back off of the road. There's currently just an empty vacant lot. And then I bought 83 acres there. But ultimately, I was working on that. So that was exciting. I had to be down there. It was just no way around it. So I apologize for not being able to make it yesterday. I hope you guys got my email. But I'm here today, and we are going to pick up the slack. Today, I'm going to talk about what is the best time, what is the perfect time to start your freight broker business. But let's jump into a free giveaway, okay? All right, so let's jump into a free giveaway. Here's all you got to do, guys. Grab your smartphone, okay? If you are on, doesn't matter, Apple or Android. I don't care which one you're on. Here's all you got to do. Listen, grab your smartphone. Go to the podcast app of your choice. If you're on Apple, go to Apple Podcast. If you're on Android, go to Spotify or Google Podcast or some podcast app. And what I want you to do is I want you to search the podcast app for Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll see the Freight Broker Bootcamp Audio Experience Podcast. You'll see it there. Let's see. Let me show you. Here's what it looks like. The Freight Broker Bootcamp Audio Experience Podcast. You'll see the logo. You'll see my bald, shiny head. And what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe, rate, and review. It'll take you 60 seconds. Subscribe, rate, and review right now, and then come back into the comments and hit me up and let me know that you subscribed, rated, reviewed on Apple or on Spotify or on Google Podcasts or wherever you did it. But you got to let me know you subscribed, rated, and reviewed, and that you did it on Apple, Google, or Spotify or whatever podcast app you use. But I need to know that in the comments when you come back in, okay? It's very important that you do that. Follow instructions. Don't come back in here and just say, oh, I subscribed or, oh, it's done. I need to know subscribed, rated, reviewed, and where you did it. Okay. So do that really quick. Go into the podcast app. This is free. Okay. This is free content. This is audio only content. You can listen to this when you're running, walking your dogs, on the treadmill, in your car, just chilling wherever, by the pool, wherever it is. This is audio only content. You can plug in your headphones or your AirPods or whatever you use, and you can just tune into some of the best training that I've done over the last decade. Okay. This is where I share that training in audio format. I launched this thing a while ago. We've been very blessed. It was ranked in the top 100 of all entrepreneur podcasts, not just freight and logistics podcasts, but all entrepreneur podcasts by Apple. So we've been very fortunate, very blessed. And I want to thank everybody who's tuned in. I want to thank you for subscribing and rating and reviewing if you've done that already. If not, do it now. And I'm going to be doing a giveaway of this t-shirt. I'm going to pick one person, but you got to come back in to the comments after you subscribe, and you got to let me know that you subscribed, rated, and reviewed on Apple or Spotify or wherever. Okay. So, let me know that you guys did that. And then I'm going to be giving away one of these t-shirts. Okay. You're going to get one of the Freightpreneur t-shirts, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. So let me know. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you want a chance to win, I'm probably only going to have a chance to do one giveaway today because it seems like we're a little behind the game here, but I'm hoping that, I'm hoping you win. But here's all you got to do. Open up your smartphone. Go to your favorite podcast app. If you're on Apple, go to the Apple Podcast app, subscribe to the Freight Broker Bootcamp podcast, rate and review it, or you can do the same thing on Spotify or Google or any podcast app that you use, and then come back in here into the the comments, wherever you're at on YouTube or wherever you're watching this, and then let me know that you subscribed and subscribe, rated, and reviewed, and where you did it. And I'm going to pick one winner. And then we're going to jump into the training. Okay. We're going to do the training today. And again, for those of you that are joining me late, the training today is what is the perfect time to start a freight broker business. I'm going to walk you through my thought process on that. And then I'm actually going to share with you 6 fundamental concepts that you can use to thrive in any economic environment, economic upturns or economic downturns, because we've experienced both over the last few years with the pandemic and then kind of the revival of the pandemic. And now we've got inflation and some different conditions. So I really think you're going to enjoy this. I think this is timely and important, but for now, let's focus on the giveaway. We got a bunch of people that are subscribing. All right, good. We've got people that are subscribing. Kyle Murphy, Kella Velazquez, Evie. Who else we got? Who else wants a chance to win the Freightpreneur t-shirt? Give me a heads up. You guys got to subscribe. If you don't subscribe, you can't win. You don't even have a chance to win. What I'll do is you got to be in the US, and I will ship this out. You usually get it within, 7 to 14 days, depending on how quickly they can process it. But I do ship this. It's US only, no Canada, no international. Just doesn't make sense to spend $20 to ship a $20 shirt, right? So I just can't get my arms around that. But okay, cool. Subscribed, rated, and reviewed. All right, so we got a few people that have done it. All right, so let's see. What do we got? Another one here? Let's see. I'm doing it now. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to give you guys one more minute to pull up your smartphone, whether it be Android, Apple, or whatever you're doing. Pull up your favorite podcast app, usually Spotify or Google Podcast or Apple Podcast. Those are the most common, but there are all kinds of podcast apps out there, and they're almost all free. And then you can simply search for Freight Broker Bootcamp, and you'll see my bald head. You'll see the shiny logo. It should say the Freight Broker Bootcamp audio experience, and you just subscribe. Sometimes it says follow, subscribe or follow. Subscribe, rate, and review, and then hit me up in the comments and let me know, and you will get a chance to win. I've been giving these shirts away for a while now, and every week I ask people are asking me, where can I buy them? Where can I buy them? I don't sell them. To be honest with you, I just don't want the hassle of selling them. I just have way too many things going on to be worrying about selling shirts. So I just give them away. All right. I figured you guys would appreciate that even more. All right. So here we go, guys. I'm going to do the giveaway. You've got 30 seconds to finish up your subscribe to the podcast, and then come back here in the comments, and I will pick one winner. And then we're going to jump into the training. And today, I think this is, again, a very timely training, because in the last few years, we've seen a lot of this, right? We've seen a lot of this turbulence. We've seen a lot of turbulence in the economic environment, not just here in the United States, but globally. And so that makes for some very interesting dynamics and challenges for every business. So I'm going to share with you 6 fundamentals that you really need to focus on as a freight broker. These fundamentals will allow you to thrive in any economic condition. Okay. These are things that are fundamental principles that I leveraged and have leveraged for over 25 years. Okay. Now, I didn't always do these things, but I learned these things over the course of my career. I started my first business back in 2004. So that was almost 30 years ago. Hard to believe. But ultimately, That's what I'm going to share with you today. All right, cool. So let's do the giveaway. So I have a very non-scientific way of doing this. I scroll down to where people have started to put in the comments, and I randomly pick one winner by simply pointing my mouse to it. And if I pick a winner, and the winner is Jomo Mighty. Jomo Mighty says he subscribed, rated, and reviewed on Android. Congratulations, Jomo Mighty. He's been in a lot of these lives. I recognize the name. Thank you for joining. Here's all you have to do to collect your prize. Go to the Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page. Now, you got to go to Facebook. Then you got to search Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll find the page, and then you're going to like the page and then message me. Send me a message with your full name, your address, and your size, okay? And that you won the podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway, okay? Let me know that you won the podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway, and then the date, right? Just give me the date in here too. It's 6/14 on 6/14, okay? So just go to the Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page, message me your full name, your address, and your size, and then let me know that you won the podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway on 6/14. I'll make sure I ship this thing out to you, and you should be good to go. Now, we won't have time to do another giveaway now because I do want to start the training promptly, but maybe I'll be able to do it. So here's the agenda. I'm going to do the training. Then we're going to do live Q&A at the end. So if you have questions about this training or about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent or anything that's going on in your business right now, stick around to the end because I am going to do live Q&A. Maybe if we have time, if things are running smoothly, maybe I'll try to do another giveaway between the training and the Q&A, right? If we have a little bit of time, depending upon how things are going, maybe I will have a chance to do another giveaway. But yeah, congratulations, Jomo Mighty, for winning the Freightpreneur t-shirt. Thank you for playing along, everybody. Nobody loses in that deal. If you check out the Freight Broker Bootcamp audio experience, you are going to find the best of the best freight broker training content that I've done in the last decade. It's an audio format, means you can passively listen to it. One of my favorite times to listen to podcasts, because I'm a big podcast fan. I listen to tons of podcasts, is when I'm driving. You know, if you're driving, your average trip when you're in a car is 10, 15, 20 minutes long. It's perfect to get bite-sized information from podcasts. Most cars are integrated with phones now. You just open up your podcast app and boom, now you can listen rather than listen to the junky radio. I can't stand the AM, FM radio. The things they play on there are just nonsense. So I love listening to podcasts. It's one of my favorite ways. Plus on the treadmill when I'm working out or when I'm walking the dogs or something along those lines. So hope you guys enjoy the podcast. And we're going to get started in just a minute. For those of you that are just tuning in, again, today is my weekly Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. I know it's normally on Monday. Today is Tuesday. That's okay. Couldn't make it yesterday, but I did promise that I'd be here today. So here I am. And I've got a lot of notes to go over, okay? I even smudged them here. I just printed them out and I smudged them. But today we're going to talk about the most perfect time to start a freight broker business. I'm going to break that down. I'm going to share some of my thoughts, and then I'm going to share with you some fundamental principles, some business principles that will allow you to thrive in any economic condition. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. So now, why don't we do this? Let me know the city and state that you're logging in from. Give me a heads up. I'm in the Buffalo, New York area, Clarence, New York to be exact. If you're in my area, let me know. No matter where you are, wherever you're watching this from, hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. I'd love to hear from you. I'll try to give some shout outs. If you already did it above, do it again because I'm not going to see it because I can't scroll back up. We've got Sandra Halt from Arlington, Texas. We've got Jay Thomas from West Palm. We've got D who subscribed. Congrats. We got Jacqueline from Warner Robins, Georgia. We got Brandon from Augusta, Georgia. What else we got? We got people from all over joining live. We usually do. We got Nancy from Indio, California. We got Lewis from Victorville, California. Peyton from Nashville. Fun Dad from Tupelo, Mississippi. A random LinkedIn user with no name from Rochester, New York. Welcome from Rochester. Kella from Cape Coral, Florida. Man, we got people from Natalie from Philadelphia. Congratulations. Welcome for joining. Sean Lemansky from Cary, Illinois. Boom, boom, boom. People from all over. We got Zapata Israel from Oklahoma City. Just enrolled in boot camp. Congratulations. I'm sure you'll do great. Dr. Dorothy from Columbus, Ohio. Vasudevan from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And we've got Rico Brown from South Carolina. Congratulations to everybody for joining, for being here today. Today is going to be a great training. Whether you're a startup or an established freight broker or freight agent, I think you're going to be able to pull some nuggets from today's training, because in addition to talking about what is the best time, what is the perfect time to start a freight broker business, I'm going to share with you, I think there's six principles, six fundamental principles that you need to know and understand and adhere to. And if you do, as a freight broker, freight agent, you will be able to thrive in any economic condition. Okay. So we're going to give about another minute or two for people to get live, and then we'll jump into the training. And wherever you guys are, make sure you hit me up in the comments. Jomo is from Fort Lauderdale. That was the big winner today of the free t-shirt. We got Sammy from New Jersey. We got Henry from California. We got Robinson from Orlando, Florida. We got Rashawn from Kennesaw, Georgia. We got Good Morning Logistics from Des Moines, Iowa. Tanya Pope from Stockbridge, Georgia. And we got people from all over. We got a lot of Georgia, a lot of California, not a lot of Texas today. My Texas people are sleeping. Normally I have tons of Texas people. We've got a few. We got Sandra Halt from Arlington or from Texas. Man, we got a lot of sleepy people in Texas today. But Georgia and California have shown up in force. So thank you, everybody who's here tuning in today. I truly appreciate your time. I know that it's challenging sometimes to break away in the middle of the day, depending upon if you're currently still have a job, or whether you're working from home, or whether you're a startup, or whether maybe you've got a bunch of freight on the board you got to move. I get it. It can be challenging. That's the reason why these are replayed. You can catch these on replay. Plus, on my YouTube channel, for everybody who's curious, I release weekly trainings every week on my YouTube channel. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, if you have not checked out my YouTube channel yet, make sure you check it out at youtube.com/freightbrokers. Hit the subscribe and then hit the all notifications bell so that you get notified every time I put out a new freight broker training. You may be on YouTube catching this stream right now. Make sure you subscribe. If not, make sure you check it out later, because I put a lot of great content out there. There's over 100 freight broker training videos, all 100% free on that channel. Okay. It would take you a week to consume all those videos. Okay. Or more. Because I've been putting that content together for a long time. I've been doing these brain dumps for a long, long time on that channel, trying to just share everything I know. And obviously, if you're curious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent, I have my Freight Broker Bootcamp online training program, which is, we've trained over 10,000 students. We've been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy for any reason, just shoot us an email and we will gladly refund your money. So if you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, you can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Let me see if I can show you that so it rings true. There it is right there. And again, 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee. All right, cool. So why don't we jump into the training? Before we do this, let me grab a quick drink, and then I'm going to jump in. And remember, the format today, I'm going to do the training, and then we're going to do live Q&A. If I have time and things are running smoothly, I may do another giveaway between the end of the training and the Q&A. Okay. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to check my time, and then I'm also going to see how everything's flowing, and then we'll go from there. So we got a bunch of people live. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to share with you what is the best time, what is the perfect time to start your freight broker or freight agency business. So over the last few years, we've been through a lot of financial, economic turbulence. Things were going really well in the economy, and then we had COVID and things tanked. And then things started to recover from COVID, and now we've got inflation and we've got some other issues going on that are causing a little bit of an economic downturn. So the question is, when is the best time to start your freight broker or freight agency business? So is it during an economic boom? Well, when you have an economic boom and things are going up rapidly, what you find in the freight industry is you have a lot of freight, but you can't find trucks because capacity has been consumed by all of the excess freight. When you have more loads than you have trucks, it causes rates to go up and it makes your job a little harder to source trucks. So that's what it looks like when you have an economic upturn, right? When you have an economic boom. Now, let's think about when you have an economic downturn, or what some people will call a recession, okay? So in a recession, the volume of freight goes down, but the availability of trucks goes up. So when you do have a load, it's typically easier to cover because there's capacity in the marketplace. So as you can see, there are challenges associated with both situations, right? There are unique and different challenges for any economic climate. So what I want you to understand is this. The fact is, there is no perfect time to start your freight broker, freight agent business. There is no best time to become a freight broker or a freight agent. What you have to understand is, as an entrepreneur, as a freight broker, as a freight agent, you have to learn how to thrive in any economic climate. Because the fact is, if you're going to be in business for 10 or 20 years, you're going to see the economy is very cyclical. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It's boom, it's bust. It's boom, it's bust. You're going to have to learn how to adapt in those situations. You're going to have to learn how to navigate those situations. So rather than me trying to tell you that when the best time to become a freight broker is, what I want to share with you today is I want to share with you 6 fundamental principles that you can use to thrive in any economic condition as a freight broker or freight agent. Okay, so that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to share with you 6 fundamental principles that will help you to thrive in any economic condition. All right. So these are in no discernible order, but I do want you to understand that these are fundamental principles that I have developed and that I have learned over 25 plus years as an entrepreneur. Now, I've been very blessed. I've done over $200 million as a freight broker. And so I've learned a few things along the way. I've made millions of dollars in mistakes along the way. And some of the lessons that I'm going to share with you today are hard-fought lessons and mistakes that I made that I'm trying to share with you in advance. All right. So number 1 on the list, always be these are the 6 fundamental principles. Number 1, always be on the lookout for talent. Always be on the lookout for top talent, for good, solid talent. Okay. But you have to balance that with, don't try to grow too fast or hire the wrong person. Hiring the wrong person or trying to grow too fast can actually stunt your growth. But at the same time, you always have to be on the lookout for good talent, because talent is what really allows you to grow. And, you know, it's a critical part of every business, talent. So what I want you to understand is, when there's an economic boom, it's very challenging to find talent because most of that talent has been consumed and hired. But in an economic downturn, like we're sitting in right now, where the economy is going down, this is when talent becomes more readily available. So this is a great time for you to find top talent to help you grow your company throughout the recession, and then to springboard yourself into success when things start to take an economic upturn again, which they will, as they always do. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, I've said this a million times, niche down. Riches are in niches. Do not try to be everything to everybody. That is a surefire way to fail. What I want you to understand is, don't be a generalist. It's better to become an expert in something than just a generalist in anything, right? If you're going to focus in on the steel industry, become an expert about the steel industry. You're going to focus on the produce industry, become an expert in the produce industry. If you're going to focus in on heavy haul, or you're going to focus on import, export, or whatever, intermodal, or whatever niche you're going to get into, become an expert. Now, an expert is someone, by definition, the definition that I like to say, an expert is someone who's one chapter ahead of the person that they're talking to their prospect or to their customer. You know more than most of the market, and you know more than who you're entertaining. So that takes a little bit of research. That takes a little bit of time. That takes a little bit of experience. But what you have to understand is by niching down, you can make yourself way more valuable. And you're going to stand out from the crowd because people love to talk to experts. They don't like to talk to salespeople. So you have to understand, very, very important that you niche down. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be isolated to that niche forever. You can always expand into other niches, but I've talked about how you do that strategically. So that's number 2. Make sure you niche down. Number 3, this is really important. Lean in. I want you to understand this. Get very close to your customers. Get very, very close to your customers. You have to listen to your customers. Most people in the freight brokerage, freight industry, trucking logistics industry are very transactionally focused. They don't focus on relationships. What you have to do is you have to focus on relationships over transactions. I know that it's the transactions that pay the bills. I know you got to get the invoices out. I know you got to move the loads. I know you got to move shipments. I know that's how you pay your bills. But the way to do that is to focus on relationships. So if you're in a situation where your customer is trying to keep you at arm's length via email, you need to figure out a way to get on the phone. If you're talking to them on the phone, then you need to figure out a way to meet them face to face. Get as close as you can to your customers. And what I mean by that is not sitting there always begging for freight, but truly understanding their business, right? You have to become viewed as more of a strategic partner and a trusted advisor than just another freight jockey. And that takes time, but it takes an investment on you to invest in that relationship. When you're always focused on transactions, that makes you a freight jockey. When you're focused on the relationship and you're focused on solving their problems and you're focused on really helping and providing value to the shipper, that's when you become a trusted resource. That's when you become more than just another freight jockey who's out there trying to find trucks for them. Okay. So that's number 2. Get very, very close to your customers. Whenever possible, visit them face to face. Okay. Number 3, get very close to your core carriers. The same thing applies to carriers as applies to customers. You have to understand, as a freight broker, you really have a couple of customers. One customer is your shipper, but you also have another major stakeholder, which is your carriers, because you can have all the shipments in the world, but without trucks, you're not going anywhere. You're not making any money, and you'll go out of business fast. So you have to get very close to your core carriers, and the exact sort of thing. You have to focus on becoming a partner and not just another freight broker who's out there trying to beg for trucks. So when you start focusing on relationships over transactions, whether that be with carriers or with customers, you're going to start to see a major difference in the type of opportunities that you will have on both sides of the coin. So I said in number 3, get very close to your customers. Number 4 is get and stay very close to your core carriers. Number 5, track, manage, and most importantly, understand some of the key financial metrics that are associated with your business. You have to track revenue. You have to track expenses. You have to track cash flow. You've got to track net income. You've got to track some of these core fundamental KPIs, key performance indicators, and you have to not only track them, but you have to understand them. Now, for most of you, that probably scares the shit out of you because you're not a financial wizard. You're not an accountant. You're not a bookkeeper. Well, guess what? Neither am I. I hate counting beans. I don't like doing the accounting. So I outsource my accounting. I always have. I've had an accountant. I've got bookkeepers. I've got people who take care of that for me, but it's always tracked. It's always managed. And I'm always looking at it, at least, if not on a daily basis, a weekly basis. Very important that you understand and track your key performance indicators as a freight broker. Critically important that you not only track them, but you understand what they mean. So that takes a little bit of time and investment, but it's definitely something that's very important for every entrepreneur. All right. Number 6, learn how to adapt to changing market conditions. But Don't get caught up chasing every trendy idea, right, that you see on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, right? There's all kinds of people out there pitching their wares and telling you what's the next best, greatest way to build a business or to get customers or to market your business or whatever the case may be. Don't get caught up in every, trend that's out there. What you have to understand, whether that be, you're going to have one person telling you that you need to be doing Facebook ads. You're going to have another person telling you you need to start a YouTube channel. You're going to have another person telling you you need to start a podcast. You're going to have another person telling you that you should go out and do flyers on door-to-door flyers. You're going to have other people that are going to say, hey, you need to hire agents. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You have to figure out your strategy, and then you have to execute. What you have to understand is strategy is really important, but what you have to understand, what's even more important, is execution. So don't get distracted. Make sure you stay focused, but you do need to learn how to adapt, because as things change, when there's an economic upturn, your strategy is going to have to change. You're going to have to adapt. The same thing goes when the economy takes a downturn or goes into a recession. You're going to have to adapt. That requires you to, number one, recognize the change and then to adapt your strategies along the way. You have to have winning strategies for every economic conditions. Now, I can't sit here and give you every one of those strategies today, but I've shared a lot of those strategies on my YouTube channel over the years. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, and you need some help, you need a guide, you need someone to translate all the stuff that's on Google and YouTube and put it into one very actionable course that can help you get started and grow a very successful freight broker business today, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we have a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee if for any reason you're not happy with the training. Again, it's pretty rare that happens, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you subscribe, like, share the stream, and again, join me every week for another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. So, hey, listen, thank you I know I went really fast, right? I went through a lot of information really quick. The good thing is you can catch us on replay. The other good thing is you'll be able to catch us on YouTube within the next week, because I'll do an edited down version of this that you can catch on YouTube. But where are we at in time wise? Okay, so we got some time. So we're going to do another giveaway. All right, let me grab a drink. Kella, thank you so much for the kind words. Kella loves the boot camp class. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. Let's see what else we got here. We got lots of people that subscribed to the podcast. Thank you so much for playing along. All right, cool. So why don't we do another giveaway? But this time we're going to do, what are we going to do? We're going to give away $50 cash, $50 cash. Okay. I'm going to give away cash. So cash is always something you guys are very interested in. I gave away a t-shirt earlier. Jomo Muddy won that. He's going to send me some information on where I'm going to ship that to. But why don't we give away $50 cash? Here's all you got to do. What do you got to do? What do you got to do? Okay, so let's do this. I know what we're going to do. All you have to do in order to qualify for the $50 giveaway, I'm going to give one $50 giveaway away. But here's what you got to do. You got to go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Freight Brokers. Or if you're on YouTube, you can search Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll see my big, bald, shiny head for the channel. Click on that channel and subscribe. And then when the bell comes up for notifications, hit all notifications. Okay? So you got to subscribe on YouTube and then hit the all notifications. And then I need you to come back in here in the comments and let me know that you subscribed on YouTube and that you hit the all notifications bell. Okay. If you do that in the comments, you are going to be entered to win, potentially win $50, right? Cash. I will PayPal that money to you in the next 24 to 48 hours. All you got to do is subscribe and then hit the notification bell on YouTube for the Freight Broker Bootcamp YouTube channel. And I'm going to pick one lucky winner. We're going to give away $50 cash. All right. So that's all you got to do. And then after this, don't say done in YouTube. subscribed, and hit the all notifications bell. Remember, this is important that you follow instructions and listen. Subscribed on YouTube and I hit the all notifications bell. That's the key. That's what I want. That's the only way you win. That's the only key way you get a chance to win, okay? So don't say done. We've been through this before. Follow the instructions. Subscribed on YouTube, hit the all notifications bell. What was I just going to say? Shoot, you guys made me lose track of my deal here. But anyway, we're going to give away $50. Oh, and then we're going to do live Q&A after this. Okay, so stick around because we are going to do live Q&A. If you have questions about today's training or becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, whatever it is, I am going to do live Q&A after this. So give it just a couple minutes. We'll do the $50 giveaway, and then we'll do live Q&A. Got it. Way to go, Nancy. You followed instructions. Thank you. Good job. I don't mean to pick on everybody, but following instructions. Listen, if you're going to become a freight broker or you're going to become a freight agent and you bought my course and you can't follow instructions, it's going to be a problem. If you want to learn any skill and you can't follow instructions, it's going to be a problem. For me, I do this because it's how I track and make sure that I pick the people that are actually doing what's asked for the giveaway. So if you just say done doesn't mean anything to me, right? When I look at it and I scroll down through and I pick somebody's name, it doesn't mean anything to me. I need to know what you've done. Okay. So that's why I have to be a little bit of a hard ass on that stuff. So make sure you say subscribed on YouTube. Now this is an honor system, but when I go to send you the prize, if you can't prove that you've actually followed the instructions, whether that be subscribed to my podcast, rated and reviewed, and or subscribe to YouTube and hit the all bell notification and the all notifications. If you can't do that, again, this is the honor system. It takes you all of 60 seconds to do it, and you have no cost to do it for a chance to win. So again, it's honor system, so I'm trusting that you guys are going to just tell the truth. Tanya did it. Evie did it. Nancy did it. Barrick07 did it. Zainab did it. Kella did it. We got lots of people who have done it. All right, cool. So we'll give another minute for people to subscribe on YouTube, and then I'm going to do the $50 giveaway, and then we're going to do live Q&A. So stick around. We're going to give about another 30 seconds to a minute while I grab a quick drink. And again, on that YouTube channel, there's over 100 free freight broker training videos. If you really want to enjoy the channel, go to the playlists. I've put together some playlists, maybe 5 or 6 different playlists. Top 10 most popular freight broker training videos. Top 10 mistakes to avoid. That's a whole playlist. Freight broker sales strategies, right? That's a whole playlist. Mindset, freight broker mindset, winning mindset for freight brokers. That's a whole playlist. Got all kinds of different playlists in there that you guys can check out where it's grouped into videos that are specific to that topic, which is really, really cool. Saves a lot of time searching around. Plus, it'll automatically play them sequentially from top to bottom, right? So, all right, cool. So let's do the giveaway. We're going to do the YouTube subscribe notification giveaway of $50. Here we go. I'm going to scroll through my very non-scientific way of doing it. I scroll through the feed. I land my mouse on one person, and the person is Fun Dad. Subscribe on YouTube and hit the all bell, hit the notification. So he did it. Very good. Fun Dad, you win $50. Here's all you got to do. Go to my Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page. So go on Facebook, search for Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll find the page. Like the page, and then message me your full name, your PayPal email, and that you won the YouTube subscribe $50 giveaway. Let me know that, and within 24 to 48 hours, I will PayPal you the $50. Thank you, everybody, for playing along. Again, Fun Dad, all you got to do is message me on Facebook, your full name, your PayPal email, and that you won the YouTube subscribe $50 giveaway, and I will make sure I shoot that $50 off to you in the next 24 to 48 hours. Thank you, everybody, for playing along. Again, the YouTube channel is full of nuggets, lots of past live videos, plus tons of edited videos where I've really broken it down into short bite-sized lessons. Most of those videos are 5 to 10 minutes long. So enjoy the channel, and thank you, everybody, for playing along. All right, so if you have questions Now we're going to jump into the Q&A. Josue Gamino's ahead of me already. He's smart. He knows to get to the top of the list. If you have questions about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, I will do my absolute best to answer them. If I don't have the answer, I'll try to point you in the right direction. Here's what I know for sure. I'm not going to get to all your questions today. I will try to get to as many as I can in the time allotted. But if for some reason I can't get to your question today, please don't take offense. I'll try to come back in later in the week and answer the questions in the thread. And if not, you can always come back next week and try to ask, okay? Or if you're a member of Freight Broker Bootcamp and you're already a paid member, you can just send a message to support and we will definitely get that question answered for you, whether it be someone on my team or whether they need to pass it along to me. Either way, we'll make sure we get those questions answered, okay? All right, so we have, let's see, who we got for questions. Okay, so here's an interesting question. What can we do when the shipper doesn't want to pay and is ghosting you? Okay, cool. So this is an interesting question. So I'm going to assume that you moved a shipment, at least one shipment for a shipper, for your customer. You then invoice them. The invoice is past due, and now they're not responding to your request for payment, right? So that's where I'm going to make the assumption. A couple things you can do. Number one, some of this is going to depend. You're going to have to make some decisions here of how far past due are they. When someone is 1 day past due, the actions that you take are different than when someone is 30 or 60 or 90 or 180 days past due. But what you do have to understand with collecting invoices from shippers is every day that goes by after they're past due, the probability of collecting that invoice in full goes down every single day, statistically speaking. If it's 1 day past due, or it's 30 days past due, or it's 60 days past due, 60 days past due are more likely to default than 30 days past due. So what you have to understand is that as they become further past due, you have to ratchet up your efforts. And at some point, you're going to have to make a decision as to whether that's a client you actually want to continue to do business with. So that's the big question you have to ask. At some point, you're going to have to change your tactics and break away from trying to retain that client while collecting the invoice and going no holds barred to try to get that client to pay the invoice, because ultimately you're still responsible for paying the carriers, right? So when you first start, when it first becomes past due, typically emails or phone calls, courteous emails and phone calls are the follow-up process. But what this gentleman is saying, or what this person is saying, is they're being ghosted. So they're not getting a response from those calls. So another thing you can do is you can have, one thing that you might do is FedEx or overnight a demand letter demanding payment, letting them know that letting them know that they're past due, and that in the event that you do not hear from them, you're going to forward this to your legal team or to collections, right? You're going to give them a warning and let them know that if this isn't addressed, the reason why you're sending this is because no one's been responding, the invoice is past due, and now in the event that they do not respond, that it's going to be sent to collections and or legal. Now, if they don't respond to that, then you can also give that to an attorney and then now have an attorney send a demand letter of some sort. Sometimes when it comes from an attorney's office on legal letterhead, sometimes that will stimulate them to do it. You could also send it to a collection agency and let them make the phone calls. Of course, they're going to charge you a fee for that. But ultimately, if you can collect the invoice, it'll probably be worthwhile. Another thing you can do, even before you go to the collections, this is an interesting idea. We did this a lot and it worked really well. One of the things that we did was, before we would send it to legal or collections, if we were getting ghosted, what we would do is the location that we delivered it to, typically one of their customers or maybe a supplier or someone on that end, what we would do is we would call that location and we would talk to the person who's in charge there, and we would start asking questions about the customer. Start asking questions like, are you guys running into are you experiencing any issues with XYZ company? Are they communicating effectively? Are you having any issues getting paid by them? Have you noticed any financial issues? And the reason why we did that was because number one, we wanted to gather some information, but number two, we knew that if that was their customer, one of the first things they were going to do is they were going to call the shipper because they're concerned that either they're not going to get paid, they're going to get paid, there's going to be a disruption to service depending upon the type of relationship. So a lot of times what would happen is that pickup location, whoever's running that pickup location would contact the shipper direct. And then the next phone call, once they realized that we were calling their customers, right, to inquire about why were they getting paid or were they not getting paid, what would happen is the next phone call would come to us because they don't want you calling their customers and disrupting those relationships. So a lot of times that will get the ball moving. So those are some tactics that you can use. Again, some of that's going to depend upon where the decision that you've made. Are you looking to retain the client or not? What you have to understand is that there are sometimes legitimate reasons why customers don't pay on time. Maybe you didn't bill properly. Maybe they didn't get the proper information. Maybe they have a turnover in their receivables person. Maybe they've got some slow cash flow. But the fact is they need to communicate with you. They need to effectively communicate. And so what I've found is that if a shipper starts getting significantly past due, number one, you need to put them on credit hold and stop taking any future shipments. Number two, you have to make a decision as to whether that's going to work for your business. You cannot effectively run a freight brokerage if they're going to pay you in 60 or 90 days. Our hard rule was, they really need to pay inside of 45 days. 30 days is the term, so they really need to pay inside of 45 days. And if not, we need to be on the phone understanding exactly why. Okay, so do not let your receivables linger. Do not just assume that they're going to pay you when the money comes in. There's old adage, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So you got to be the squeaky wheel. So I hope that helps. Okay, here's a question from Jose Camino. As a new broker with no experience, would you suggest seeking large shipping partners, 5 million plus, or small ones, mom pop shops, work top down or bottom up? Okay. Well, when you say 5 million plus, I'm not sure if you're talking about revenue or freight spend. Okay. So I'm going to try to answer it in my terms. As a new freight broker, I think that you should focus on small to medium-sized shippers. Now, when I say small, I do not mean mom and pop shops that are doing under $1 million in revenue, okay? Because they're just not going to have a whole lot of freight. But if someone has, if someone's doing $5 or $10 million in revenue or more, I'd say somewhere from 5 million to maybe 50 million is really a good starting point if you're going to target it by revenue. Those are still small businesses, just so you know. I know 50 million seems like a lot, but it's still considered a small business. You're really not even considered a medium business in most circles until you're 100 million plus, right? And then when you're a large business, that's when you're doing over $1 billion in sales, right? So ultimately, I think new brokers should focus on small to medium shippers before they focus on large shippers. Couple reasons why. Number one, it's harder to navigate large shippers. It takes a little bit of experience to navigate the bidding process, the vetting process. They're more likely to be very stringent with their requirements. Small to medium-sized shippers are going to be a little bit more accommodating. They're going to be a little bit more available, and they're going to be a little bit easier to deal with. So I would say new brokers, that would be the best place to start. Good question. Jay Thomas, where can I get the no cold calling for freight broker system? Okay, so if you became a member of Freight Broker Bootcamp, when you enrolled, most of you were given a one-time offer and a chance to be able to enroll in the No Cold Calling for Freight Brokers training program. That is my LinkedIn and social selling training program. It's the same program that I use to generate over $20 million for my freight brokerage without making cold calls. Now, that's not readily available on the website. I make it a one-time offer and I do it at a discount. So there's no link that I can send you to buy that right now. But if you are really serious about getting the no cold calling program, and again, it's the discounted price is $1,000. I sell it for $1,497. Okay. If you guys are curious about that, because of what's going on right now, I will, if you are a member of Freight Broker Bootcamp, and you didn't get it the first time when you were made the offer, send an email over to support, letting them know that you're interested in the no cold calling for freight broker program. I'll let them know, and they'll send you a link where you can get enrolled for a very limited time. Okay. So if you guys do want the no cold calling program, send an email to support@freightbrokerbootcamp.com, and I'll make sure that they make it available. But again, you're going to have to, when they send you the link, you're going to have to get enrolled that day. It's not something that's going to be available long-term. That's something that is, I keep for specific situations. It's not something out there that I sell every day, but I do offer it to new students at a discount. So if you're interested in that, you can send a message to support at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Okay, so from a Facebook user, what are the key questions to ask when interviewing potential agents or salesperson? Well, here's the thing. It depends on your model. So if you are hiring inexperienced salespeople and inexperienced agents, you're going to have to gauge your questions around those types of people. If you're hiring experienced agents or experienced salespeople, then you're going to have a different set of questions. But what you're really trying to understand is a couple of core things. I can't give you the questions, but I'm going to give you some fundamentals here. Number one, you want to focus in on attitude. So there's really two things that you're focusing on: attitude and aptitude. Which is more important? I'm going to tell you that with all things considered equal, attitude is more important than aptitude. I can't teach somebody to have a good attitude, but I can teach somebody how to pick up the phone and do a cold call, right? Teaching people to have a good attitude is challenging, and that attitude is really going to determine the level of success that they have. Now, some people are going to rise faster, some people are going to rise slower, but ultimately it's that attitude that's going to have a huge impact. So when you're figuring out the questions you're going to ask, whether they be new and inexperienced or experienced, you're really focused partially on attitude and partially on aptitude. Now, the aptitude is really the skill set or the experience that they have. We know that if it's an inexperienced position, they really don't have a whole lot of aptitude because they don't have a whole lot there. So you're going to focus in on core things like their ability to communicate effectively and verbally in writing. Those are important things. You'd want to test those things, right? You're going to focus in on those sorts of things, right? How they're going to overcome adversity. Again, that comes into attitude. Are they going to be able to, are they going to be, will they fit with your culture? Do they have the same sort of demeanor? Will they fit within the company culture? Do you have the same core values? Those sorts of things. When you're getting into the experienced people, now all of a sudden you can gauge their aptitude because their past success in sales is going to have some reflection on their future success. If they've been selling for 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years and they haven't had a lot of success, right? In most cases, there's a reason. So your job is to figure out that reason. If you're hiring experienced people, you're going to have to pay more. So what you're going to have to understand is that you're trying to find people who have successful experience, not just experience. There's a difference between being employed by a company as a salesperson for a year and then being fired versus being employed and being a top producer for 5 years and then deciding to make a switch, or that company getting acquired and challenged, and then he was displaced for whatever reason, right? So you want to hire people who have successful experience, not just experience. So when it comes to aptitude, you got attitude and aptitude, and you kind of want to be able to judge both of those. So I can't give you exact questions. Maybe I'll do a future training on that, but I don't have a whole bunch of questions off the top of my head. But yeah, I think that would be, if you focus in on that, that will go a long ways to making sure that you're getting the right person. But again, attitude comes first, aptitude comes second in both of those categories. Question from Jay Thomas. Should you get receivables insurance? Okay, so just so you guys know, receivables insurance is where you have an insurance company that will insure your receivables. Now, your receivables are the invoices that your customers owe you. So let's say, for example, you were doing business with ABC Widgets and you have $50,000 in invoices outstanding. Some of them are not due yet, some of them are due, and some of them are past due. What's going to happen is receivables insurance will insure that receivable and will compensate you in the event that shipper does not pay you. So if that $50,000 defaults, they will assume some of that risk and you will still get paid by the insurance company for that receivable. Now, there's all kinds of nuances in there, and I'm giving you just some generalities. There's going to be a deductible. There's going to be some conditions that have to be met. But ultimately, what it does protect is if ABC Widgets goes bankrupt for whatever reason, that receivable insurance can kick in and help offset some of that bad debt, right? Because you, again, still have to pay those carriers. So receivables insurance can be a powerful tool. It can be a valuable tool, but it's not cheap. And so what you have to also understand is that the cost of insurance goes up as your revenue goes up. So when you're doing $1 million in sales, receivables insurance is this amount. When you're doing 20 million in sales, receivables insurance your cost goes up a lot because it's based on your volume, because their risk is higher, right? So receivables insurance, I'll tell you a personal story. For several years, many years, we didn't have a receivables insurance. My financial team and myself, we sat down numerous times to determine whether we were going to get receivables insurance, and we passed on it 4 times. Okay, now this is over probably a 4 or 5 year period of time. We passed on it 4 times, and then we got a 6-figure bankruptcy. We had a bankruptcy. A company ran up a big bill with us and ended up going bankrupt. We ended up losing 6 figures on one bankruptcy from a company that went out of business. And, we salvaged everything we could. We survived. There was no issue because we were in good financial shape. But from that point on, we realized the value of receivables insurance, because had we had the receivables insurance, I think the number was we would have only lost like $10,000 because that would have been the deductible, and the insurance company would have compensated us for the rest. So from that point on, we realized the value of having receivables insurance. So particularly if you're a larger company, it's a risk management tool that you might want to look into. Again, I'm not an insurance guru. I'm not a receivables insurance guru, and I can't give a class on it, but I can tell you that, there are some, I remember Coface, COFACE, I think was one. And Euler Hermes was another. There are other receivable insurance companies out there, but those are the 2 that came to mind. Coface and Euler Hermes were the ones that I think that we used back in the day. They're probably, they may have been acquired, or there may have been some sort of roll up, or they may be some other providers in the industry now, but those are a couple of the ones that you can take a look at. Okay, I'm scrolling through the questions. Just give me a minute. CJ Perrin, what does ghosting mean? Ghosting means that you are trying to reach out to them and they're not responding to you. Okay? It's just it's a slang term, ghosting. They're just not responding to you. It's kind of like if you send somebody a text and they never responded, that's kind of ghosting you. You send someone an email, they don't reply, they're ghosting you. If you leave somebody a voicemail and they don't reply, they're ghosting you, right? They're treating you like you don't exist. Okay, so here's a question from Damjan Kopik. How to switch from quoting spot loads with 1 to 2 day notice for the current shipper to few weeks in advance. Okay. So here's the thing. We're still in a volatile market, right? Fuel prices continue to go up. The amount of freight is down. That means there's more trucks available. Rates are down. So what you have to understand is that rates have a tendency to fall slower than rates that go up. Okay. So you have a little less risk in quoting out a little further in this market than you do when things are going up, because rates will go up faster than they go down, right? In this sort of environment, usually, right? That's been my experience. So if you are being asked to quote out multiple weeks, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to set some guidelines, right? And you're going to have to build in a little bit of a fudge factor. If they're looking for more long-term rates, you may have to adjust those rates up a little bit. But again, it's always the question of being competitive, right? You still have to get the bid. But the fact is, if you win the job and then it's 2 weeks later and you can't cover the loads at that point, then you're going to run into issues. So the key here is you have to communicate with your customers and you have to let them know what's going on in the marketplace. And then at some point, you're going to have to make the decision to commit or not. If you can't commit out 2 weeks, then don't commit out 2 weeks. If you're not comfortable with it, you already know the answer to the question, right? The way you do it is you communicate with the customer and you let them know. So previously, we've been working on 2-day spot bids. I give you a price today, it moves in 2 days. Now you're asking me to quote out 2 weeks, which is a lot more challenging because we don't know what fuel is going to do. We don't know what's going on, with the economy, all of these, the war in Russia or Ukraine, all these things. So there's a lot more volatility. So the challenge is that if that shipper is looking for a tighter rate, if they want a more competitive rate, the shorter the window is, the more competitive you're going to be. The longer the window is, the higher your price needs to be because you have to build in that fudge factor. So I don't have a magic wand for you, but I can tell you communicating with those customers is really the key, and setting strong expectations is what's really going to win the business and, more importantly, retain the business long term. Tatiana, I do. Do you have a course for experienced brokers? Yeah, I'm in the middle of it now. It's called my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator Program. It's sold out right now. I just sold it out, and we're in the middle of it. It's a 5-week coaching program. Let me give you a place where you can get on the wait list. Let me see. There's probably a place here where you can get on the wait list. Let me see if that's available. Hold on a second. Hold on one second. Yeah, okay. All right, so here's what you do. Go to this URL, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. Now it's sold out and it's closed, okay? But there will be a link on there where you can join the wait list. That's my advanced freight broker sales training program. That teaches where I take this piece of my brain, everything about sales and sales strategies, tactics, and systems and tools, and I put it into a system for freight brokers. It's an online course in conjunction with a 5-week coaching program. Okay. So if you guys are curious about that, you can sign up on the wait list. Now, the wait list, I don't know when it's going to launch again. We're in this is the 3rd week of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator now. So it'll probably launch again in the next 60 days, but it's not something that it's something where I open enrollment. I can only handle 100 students at a time. So I put people into that program and then we go through it. And then I usually have a little bit of a break and then I launch the program again. So if you get on the wait list, that's the only way you'll be able to get access. So definitely check it out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. That's the link with all the details of the offer for people that got enrolled in this last cohort, but it is sold out right now. So you'd have to get on the wait list. Thank you for asking. Tanisha, thank you for the kind words. Dwayne Moore, what method do you use bidding on loads or quoting prices on shipments? Okay, well, one of the biggest mistakes that most freight brokers use is they try to use the rating tools on the DAT or on TruckStop exclusively for rating shipments. And that is inherent with all kinds of issues. Those rates are determined to be a guideline and a starting point. The only way when you're dealing in the spot market to truly understand what your rates are going to be is you have to contact carriers off of the load boards. So you either have to find lane histories with carriers that have posted their trucks in those lanes and then contact them and negotiate a current spot market rate, or you got to post those loads and then get calls and determine what that rate is. But ultimately, you're going to have conversations with carriers, okay? Especially as a new broker, until you understand the dynamics based on your specific niche, based on your specific types of equipment, based on the specific lanes that you're going to be running, you really want to have conversations with carriers. If you find out a load from Buffalo to Atlanta for a van is going to cost you $1,600, and you've spoken with 7 carriers and you know that that's kind of the average rate of what it's going to cost you, now you can mark that up and give that to a shipper. Maybe you're going to give it to them at $1,800. You'll make $200 on it, but you know that there's going to be a good foundation of carriers that you're going to be able to cover that load at $1,600 with, versus you just going out and randomly quoting $1,600 and then not having carriers or the ability to make money. Okay. So, there is no software out there that's going to do accurate rating for you. Everybody thinks that there's this software you can plug in a lane and it's just going to give you spit the rate back. And that's the rate you should use to quote. Listen, I can tell you that people do that and very rarely do they win. Because here's the thing, it's really easy to quote high and it's really easy to quote low. The hard part is to try to find the sweet spot where you are providing enough value and you're in range with what that shipper's budget allows. Because yeah, I'm sure that if the shipping manager had his way, he'd give it to you at the highest rate because it's not coming out of his pocket. The problem is the company will lose money or will not be able to operate if they give it away at that rate. On the other side of the equation, the cheapest is not going to work either because they're not going to be able to get the freight off the dock. They're going to have service issues. So it really comes down to quoting high is easy, quoting low is easy. Finding the sweet spot is the hard part. And that's where it takes a little bit of work, right? A little bit of elbow grease where you pick up the phone and you're having conversations with carriers and understanding what the spot market is. Yeah, and Richard Roca asks, in today's situation, can a freight broker survive? Fuel, inflation, customer mood, any advice? Listen, in the last couple of days, I had some conversations with some of my top students, and some of them are having record weeks and record months. So the answer is yes. Even in an economic downturn, they're having record weeks and record months. So yeah, you can absolutely survive. I have one student, it's going to remain nameless right now, that did over $1 million last month. $1 million in sales last month. Okay. One of his biggest months ever last month. So some of it comes from your perspective, right? You hear the sky is falling, the sky is falling. All of a sudden you feel like the sky is falling. Well, the sky is really not falling. You just need to adapt. The reason why I did this training today was because I thought it was timely, right? People think the sky is falling and they think that, everything's going to disintegrate around them. The fact is it's not. Markets are going to go down. Markets are going to go up. I gave you 6 principles that will allow you to survive and thrive in any market condition. Always be on the lookout for talent. Niche down, become an expert rather than a generalist. This is the one that's probably most relevant. Get very, very close to your customers. If you're an existing broker and you have a small base of customers, get extremely close to your customers, closer than ever. Have more conversations, focus more on relationship, visit them whenever possible, entertain them, invest in that relationship. Don't be transactional. Even if volume is way down, invest in that relationship, okay? Become a trusted advisor. Also invest in your core carrier relationships because those will pay long-term dividends. Track and manage your financial well-being. Those KPIs are really important during an economic downturn. Understanding your cash flow, understanding your net operating income, those sorts of things. So you're going to need some expertise there with an accountant or bookkeeper. And then you need to learn how to adapt to market conditions, but don't get caught up with shiny syndrome, the next shiny object, right? You need to develop a strategy, but more importantly, you need to execute on that strategy. So that's what I did the training for today. I hope it helps. If you need anything more specific or you have a more specific question, then feel free. You can message me. Dwayne has a question. Should you try to have carriers on board before bidding on freight or acquiring customers? Probably. It doesn't hurt, but to be honest with you, it may not help. And here's why. Because every shipper has a distinct and unique set of needs. Okay? Just because you're focusing on flatbed freight or the steel industry or whatever niche it is, not every shipper has the same needs. Meaning you might have one shipper that does produce out of Florida, and you might have another shipper who does produce out of California. And you might have another shipper that does produce out of Texas. The carriers that you use in Florida and Texas and California may be completely different. So focusing on the shippers is really the fundamental, and then developing the carrier database around that. It's the difference between being what's called a truck broker versus a freight broker, right? So I think that I always started by focusing on the shippers, and then I developed the specific carriers to that specific shipper's needs. Now, I did a lot of due diligence, and I understood the pricing, and I understood capacity, but I wasn't specifically concerned with developing a specific carrier relationship until I knew that there was some synergy. If I can't bring value to the carrier, then I'm not someone he wants to talk to. And if he can't bring value to me, if we can't have a mutually beneficial relationship, then there's no value in the relationship right now. Maybe down the road there is, but that time that you would spend cold calling carriers to try to get them set up before you even know you need them or can use them or you can benefit them could be spent finding shippers. So I'd say spend more time finding shippers. I recommend taking any class that is taught by someone who has already built a significant and successful freight brokerage. So if you're going to take a course in your local community college from some business professor who's teaching out of a book, I wouldn't recommend you do that. If you want to take a course by someone, if on the other hand, that person has built a $50 million freight brokerage and is well documented and well established and has actual history and experience doing it, feel free. If you want to do it in a classroom setting, absolutely. I do not do classroom settings, meaning everything I do is virtual. My Freight Broker Bootcamp online course is all online. All the support is online. My Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, that advanced sales program, that's all virtual. Now that's live with Zoom calls and an online course, so that's hybrid. But ultimately, I don't care what training you take, as long as you vet the professor, whoever the trainer is, make sure you vet them, because there's all kinds of charlatans out there peddling their wares. You have people that are out there selling freight broker training or training on how to start a business, and they've never sold anything or built anything other than a business on how to sell a business, right? On how to start a business. So they've never built a real business. Make sure you vet them carefully. That's the reason why I'm totally comfortable getting up here and sharing my stories and sharing my experience, because I've done over $200 million as a freight broker. I've been in business as an entrepreneur since 2004. That's 28 years. Okay. I don't know everything. I've made a shit ton of mistakes and I still continue to learn, but I have an awful lot to offer, right? That's why I do these weekly trainings. That's why I'm comfortable with the fact we've trained over 10,000 students with Freight Broker Bootcamp, and it's probably closer to 20 or more, but I say over 10 because I got sick of counting. And why I have no problem offering a 60-day 100% money back guarantee, because if you're not happy with the training, I don't want your money, right? I only want it if you find it valuable. Okay. So if you're curious and you want to get enrolled in Freight Broker Bootcamp, just check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com, 60-day 100% money back guarantee, trained over 10,000 students. You enroll, you'll get instant access 24/7, 365. You don't have to wait for a trainer. You don't have to wait to go to enroll in a college course. You don't have to wait for any of that. I love it. Chris Perrin, thank you so much. Last week we had on my friend Stu Heineck, who's a very good friend of mine. He's the author of How to Build Your Business Like a Weed. I highly recommend you guys check that out. If you guys want a copy of that book, or if you want to get 2 free chapters of that book, here's all you got to do. I'm going to put a link in here. Hold on a minute. Yeah. If you guys want 2 free chapters of the book, How to Grow Your Business Like a Weed, check out stuheineck.com. Check it out. You can get 2 free chapters. If you just want to buy the book, go to Amazon like CJ Perrin did and check it out because it's a great book. I had him on here. You could also check out the previous live. I think that video will release this week, the edited version of that live. So thank you so much. For this question, CJ, what inexpensive or free open source software could I use to track shippers? I don't know about open source TMS software. I'm not sure about that open source. That's something I could probably look into. Is there an open source TMS? There probably is. I just top of mind. Here's what I would suggest. If you're curious about software that you're going to need as a freight broker, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. Hold on. I think I have it here. Yeah, go to my blog, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. And then in the search bar, in the blog, you'll see a little search bar there where you can search for content in the blog. Search for software. There's a post that I did. I think it's the top 24 software, freight broker software programs. That includes CRM software, which is customer relationship management software, transportation management software, which is your TMS, accounting software, and then something else, right? I think there's 3 or 4 different buckets there for software. You could check that out. It's a very comprehensive post. It's one of the most popular posts on the blog, which is the Freight Broker software post. So you could check that out there. That's a very comprehensive. There's a video and there's an entire training in there. Okay. For TMS, we do have a partner that we work very closely with for TMS. Let me see. Hold on. Someone that I've known personally for a long time. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So here's where you would go for that. Okay. So if you want, we have a special deal we put together with Ascend TMS. That's a free software. You can sign up for free for a free trial. You get a bunch of other benefits. You get like a shipper database and some other things just for being a member of Freight Broker Bootcamp. But if you go to that freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS, and then when you enroll and set up your free account, you got to make sure you use the coupon code FBBC or you won't get the bonuses. Okay. FBBC. Okay. Follow the instructions on that page and you will, you can sign up for free, get a free trial. You don't even need to put a credit card in, right? There's no credit card required in order to get the free trial, which is really cool and kind of unusual. Most companies require you to put a credit card in. You don't have to with this. And you can continue to use the software for free, even if after they offer you to upgrade through a paid, you don't want to upgrade to pay, you can still use the free, okay? But I think you will end up using the paid because there's a lot, it's one of the best TMSs out there by far. I've looked at it. I know the owner, Tim Hyam, really, really well. If I were starting as a freight brokerage today, that's the type of software I would use. I wouldn't build my own like I did. I spent multiple 7 figures on our software. I would not do that today because I have options and I would want to put that resource towards something else, all that money towards something else. Worst case scenario, I put it in my pocket rather than investing it in software because they'll build the software for you and it's so cheap. It's peanuts. Okay. So that would be where I would go for freight broker software if you're looking for a TMS. Jomo might ask, what's the difference between a 3PL and a freight forwarder? Well, a 3PL is just a fancy name for a third-party logistics company. When somebody calls them, freight brokers will call themselves third-party logistics companies because they are a third party and they handle logistics. For me, a 3PL is someone who typically handles a lot more than just freight management. They may handle warehousing, they may handle supply chain, they may do consulting, they do freight management, they might do custom clearances, things like that. So they have ancillary services. So 3PLs typically have a broader set of services that they offer than just freight management. That's my definition. Again, definitions are going to vary. Now, a freight forwarder is different because a freight forwarder and a freight broker are different, right? If you are a freight forwarder, you have to have a FF freight forwarder license, right, through the FMCSA, which requires you to have cargo insurance because you as a freight forwarder can actually take possession of the freight. So a lot of times you'll take possession of that freight, which requires you to have some sort of cargo policy on it. So there are different requirements for a freight forwarder than a freight broker, but in most cases, freight brokers are never going to take possession of the freight, but freight forwarders have the ability to take possession. And 3PL is just a fancy term. And then you'll even hear people say 4PL. And when they say 4PL, they're really just adding more of a technological component to it where they have a lot more software and technology to enhance the overall service offering. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Robert. I'm a new freight broker in my company. I was wondering to ask you how to get new shippers more easier being a newbie at the moment. Okay. Go to my YouTube channel. I'm going to give you the fastest way to do this. Okay. Go to, let me pull it up real quick. Where it is. Okay. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/freight brokers, subscribe, and then go to the playlist. And then in the playlist, I want you to find Freight Broker Sales Strategies. There's an entire playlist. I think there's like 30 or 40 videos in there. There's things on cold calling. There's things on using LinkedIn. There's things, questions to ask. There's all kinds of different topics in there about freight broker sales. My suggestion to you is go in there and spend an hour consuming some of the content where you think you're weak and you need help. So that would be probably the fastest way. There's no way on this live I'm going to be able to give you a magic bullet, right? There's no way I can wave my wand and by the time you get off this live, you're going to be ready to go and just go out and get shippers. It doesn't work that way, right? I'd be lying if I told you that. So the best way is to invest in that skill. And that's why I put those playlists together so you can focus in specifically on that freight broker sales skill. And then we continue to add to that. So that's why I say make sure you subscribe and hit the all notification bell so you get notified every time a new video comes out. Okay, so here's a question from Camilo. Not sure if someone asked this before, so happy to catch you live. What do you recommend should be the profit margin per load? Okay, so it varies. In most cases, the profit margin per load for brokers ranges somewhere between 10 and 20%. In most cases. Now it can go as high as 30 or 40, depending upon the niche, the type of freight, the demand, the market conditions, all that. So, but if you look at 10 to 20, what you got to understand is if it's say it's a $2,500 shipment, right? That means that you're typically on that shipment going to make at least 10%, which is $250, or maybe up to $500. So somewhere between 10 and 20%. If you want to try to find the sweet spot, I would tell you to focus on 15% or higher. Try not to drop down to 10% unless you absolutely have to or are forced to try to win the business. The margins are a little bit tighter because, again, on a $500 load, if you're at 10%, now all of a sudden you're only making $50, right? So the higher the value of the freight, if it's a $5,000 load, you might not mind going down to 7 or 8 or 9 or 10% because you're making more in actual profit dollars than you are on a $1,000 shipment that you're making 20% on, right? It's just math, right? So don't get caught up on the percentage too much, but as a general rule, it's 10 to 20%, 15 to 20 is kind of the sweet spot. Here's a question from Hidden Pickle. How many Okay. How many agents can work under a broker? Unlimited. You could have dozens, hundreds, thousands, right? When I had my freight brokerage before I sold it, we had 80 offices. Those offices were anywhere from 1 to 20 person operations. We had hundreds and hundreds of agents working under us at any given point. And we were not the largest, right? So you can have you can have as many as you can effectively support. That's the answer, right? So more is not always better. It's quality over quantity, but you have to be able to support whatever level that you're committed to, right? So you make sure you have to have all the systems and technology and support and processes in place to make sure you're allowing them, you're not prohibiting them from making money, you're actually helping them to make more money. Dispatch, for the surety bond, if there's two partners, which credit do they go by? They're probably going to ask you for both. Most likely they're going to ask you for both. Try to list the one who has the highest credit score and see if they ask you for the other one. That's what I would do. Rajinder asks, can broker agents work with freight forwarders? Yes, you can be an agent for a freight forwarder. Yeah, sure. You could be a freight agent for a freight forwarder. If they have their freight forwarder license, their freight broker license, it depends on the services that you're selling. But yeah, you can be an agent for a freight forwarder. Sure. Can broker agents get freight from freight forwarders and custom brokers? You typically won't get freight from custom brokers because they don't control the freight. They just clear the freight. But you can, as a broker, have a freight forwarder as a customer. So if you have a freight forwarder that is handling international shipments, I'll give you an example. Maybe they're doing international containers from China to the US, right? Very common, unfortunately. So, and they need somebody to handle the drayage from the port of where it lands in Jacksonville or Houston or wherever. It lands in the port here in the US, and they need somebody to handle the truck from the port to the final destination. You, as a broker, can partner with that freight forwarder on that move. So you could be a part of that intermodal movement, but your customer would most likely be the freight forwarder, not the shipper direct, because the shipper is already doing business with that, outsourcing it to the freight forwarder. And now that freight forwarder is outsourcing a component of that to you. So yeah, you can have freight forwarders as customers. I don't recommend that be your primary strategy, but it can be a way to add additional revenue. But I would always focus on shipper direct business whenever possible. Dwayne Moore, what made you sell your freight brokerage? Well, I sold it in 2016. A couple of reasons why I sold it. Number one, I'm a startup guy. By the time I'd sold the company, we were doing over $80 million of sales. It was big. And, I'll be honest with you, I got a little bit bored. It was just, I needed a change of pace. I needed to make some changes. That was one big thing. I like startup. I like early stage. I'd been running that company for 13 years at that point. And I just wanted a change of scenery. Number two, I had young kids. Okay. So my daughter now is 16, my oldest, and my other one is 13. And I felt like I was kind of missing a lot of their childhood. And so that was 6 years ago. So 6 years ago, they were a lot younger, right? They were 7 and 10, right? So I got to spend from 7 to 10 working from home, spending a lot of time with them, spending a lot more time with my wife. When I was outside the office working in the business, it was busy, right? It was crazy. So we didn't do a lot of vacations. I didn't have time to spend a lot of family time. And so I just thought it was time to make a change, right? That business, my company, is still growing. I think they do well over $100 million in sales now. The same management team that ran that business is still running the company. So they're still continued to thrive. So congratulations to them. But yeah, that's the reason. Those are some of the primary reasons why I decided to step away and sell the business. But just know, when I started the business, my goal was to grow it and then eventually sell it. I didn't have a lifelong aspiration to spend the next 20 or 30 years in the logistics industry. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started multiple businesses. I've got 4 I've started and launched 4 different 7-figure businesses, okay, in 4 different industries, right? And so I'm more of a serial entrepreneur than I am just a straight logistics guy or trucking guy. I like startups. I like businesses. And so, I went on to other ventures. So good question. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee. Again, once you enroll, you'll get instant access to the training. You'll get a login. You'll be able to log in 24/7, 365. You won't have to wait for an instructor. You'll get full online support. You'll get access to all the training, all the tools, all the bonuses, everything. So you can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. And wherever you're at right now, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and then share the stream. If you enjoyed this, the price of admission today, here's your price of admission before you leave. Share the stream. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button. Let other people know about Freight Broker Bootcamp. It's not going to hurt you, and it's going to help the community. I truly appreciate it. I'll be indebted to you for sharing the word and spreading the word. Again, like, comment, and share. Let everybody know about these weekly freight broker trainings. And if you're curious about becoming a freight broker, freight agent, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Have an awesome week. Have a profitable week. And I will be back next Monday with another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Thanks for joining me.